Have you ever looked at the world around you and felt a profound, almost aching sense of being left behind? Everyone seems to be finding their person, building their home, their forever. But for you, it's a series of near misses, of connections that feel deeply promising but never quite land. You've been the one who gives everything, the one who patiently waits, the one who tries to make an almost relationship into a whole one. You pour your entire being into a connection, hoping your effort will bridge the final gap, only to find yourself perpetually on the outside looking in. Why is it that when you give everything, it still doesn't feel like enough? This isn't about you being broken or unlovable. What if I told you the love you keep chasing is a profound, albeit painful mirror of the love you were denied or taught to earn in your earliest years? What if your deep-seated belief that you have to work tirelessly for connection is a well-meaning but ultimately destructive echo from your past? This isn't a flaw, it's a blueprint. At Left Threads, we don't just talk about relationships, we deconstruct them. We blend authentic, grounded insights with robust, evidence-based psychology, giving you the real intelligence on why we connect, why we sometimes misstep, and how to truly thrive when love feels like a constantly shifting landscape. Tonight, we're unraveling why we keep choosing the almosts and the powerful, often unconscious journey to break free and build the secure, reciprocal connection you've always deserved. The dilemma. We are immersed in a culture that relentlessly champions the ideal of perfect partnership. We're told that compromise is a virtue, that selflessness is a sign of true love, and that a seamless merging of two lives is the ultimate goal. The message is clear: care deeply, connect fully, and dedicate yourself to the cause of a shared life. But what happens when that virtuous drive to compromise and connect transforms, slowly and insidiously, into a silent collapse of self? When does the effort to fit into someone else's life require you to shrink your own, to become smaller, to contort your authentic shape until you're unrecognizable to yourself? In an era of limitless options, from dating apps to an endless supply of self-help advice, why do we find ourselves so profoundly lonely, even when we are technically in a relationship? Why do we cling to connections that feel like perpetually unfinished symphonies, always hinting at a grand finale that never arrives? It's a cruel paradox. The more potential partners we see, the harder it can be to make a clear, definitive choice, or to be chosen wholly and unequivocally ourselves. You are not too much. That is a core truth you must hold on to. But maybe, in the delicate, formative crucible of your early attachment years, you absorbed a powerful, unspoken lesson. To stay loved, you had to shrink. You learned to diminish your authentic desires, to silence your true needs, to make yourself more palatable, less demanding, perhaps even invisible. This unconscious contract becomes the very algorithm of your relational navigation, guiding you down a maze where the exit, true, complete, reciprocal belonging, always seems to be just around the next elusive corner. We find ourselves caught in a relational void, a deep existential ache that we try to fill with external validation, particularly from those who offer just enough to keep us hopeful, just enough to tantalize, but never enough to make us feel truly secure. These almosts become familiar echoes of our past, comforting in their very incompleteness, because the profound, unfamiliar reality of unwavering presence and complete reciprocity can, paradoxically, feel terrifying. This cycle is not a flaw in your character. It's a deeply ingrained pattern, a relational wound seeking resolution, a longing for wholeness that continues to play out in your intimate connections.
Why do some of us get stuck in relationships that are tantalizingly close but never truly land? The answer isn't in a single theory, but in the complex, deeply personal stories we tell ourselves about love. This section is where we dive into those narratives, exploring how different people, driven by different archetypes and inherited family patterns, find themselves in the same place, perpetually almost there, By listening to these lived experiences, we can understand the internal logic of the almost and the profound forces at play beneath the surface. The story of the timekeeper, the eternal promise. Imagine a person whose life has become a series of patiently held breaths, each one tied to the promise of a future that never arrives. This individual is grounded, dependable, and has a strong, almost sacred belief in the virtue of commitment. They often find themselves in long-term connections with partners who are perpetually not quite ready for the next stage of life. A partner who needs to travel before settling down, who has to finish a personal project before they can commit to a shared life, or who must find themselves before they can truly be with someone else. Their current almost connection is with a partner they've been with for years. The relationship is full of warmth and affection when they're together, and they talk of a shared future with the genuine excitement of two people in love. Yet when the conversation turns to concrete plans, like moving in, getting engaged, or starting a family, the partner grows distant, citing the need for more time. The timekeeper, driven by the loyalist archetype, holds firm, believing that their unwavering dedication will eventually be rewarded. Friends gently suggest that waiting is not a relationship, but the timekeeper hears a different story in their heart. They're being tested, and true love requires this kind of profound patience. Each time their partner offers a vague reassurance about the future, a hit of dopamine reinforces the belief that this loyalty will eventually pay off. Unconsciously, they're replaying a systemic loyalty to a family lineage where commitment was a scarce and hard-won prize, teaching them that true security is earned through long, tireless waiting. Their nervous system has learned to equate the intense effort of patience with the depth of love itself, tragically confusing waiting with reciprocal investment. The story of the future fixer, the pursuit of potential. Then there's the vibrant individual who is an expert at building relationships in their mind, often with partners who are geographically or emotionally distant. The reality of a shared mundane life is something they unconsciously avoid. Their connections thrive in the space between moments, in the excited anticipation of a weekend visit, the late-night text conversations, and the detailed plans for a future that exists only in their imagination. These are relationships built on potential, not present reality. This person's almost connection might be with someone who lives in another state, or a partner who is so emotionally walled off that genuine daily intimacy feels impossible. The future fixer, embodying the visionary archetype, is not falling in love with the person in front of them, but with the version of the relationship they are expertly constructing in their mind. They are drawn to the exhilarating pursuit of a connection that is always just out of reach. This dynamic provides them with a form of safe, controlled intimacy. When real life threatens to intrude, a spontaneous visit, a deep emotional conversation, they find a way to create distance, perhaps by becoming overly busy or subtly pushing the partner away. Their unconscious shadow fear is not of being abandoned, but of losing their own autonomy and identity in the slow burn of a deeply intertwined life. Their systemic loyalty may be to a pattern of inherited freedom, from a family line that valued independence above all, viewing stable partnership as a trap rather than a haven. And now, consider a person whose relationships feel like a perpetual loop, a haunting replay of a dynamic from their past. This individual, deeply empathetic and often wounded, finds themselves repeatedly drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable, critical, or emotionally unstable in ways that mirror a primary caregiver. The almost isn't just about a lack of commitment. It's about the relentless, unspoken dynamic of trying to get a different outcome in the present. The echo chamber, driven by the protector archetype, is unconsciously trying to fix the past. They believe that if they can just get this difficult partner to love and accept them fully, they will finally heal the wound left by the original source of the emotional neglect. Their partner's inconsistent behavior triggers both their deep fear of abandonment and their equally powerful fear of intimacy, keeping them perpetually in an almost state of emotional whiplash. This cycle is a profound loyalty to a family system that never resolved its emotional pain. They are unconsciously carrying the burden of trying to finally fix a broken familial pattern in the arena of their romantic relationships. The story of the perpetual caretaker, the savior's sacrifice. And now, consider the person who is perpetually the side character in their own life, taking on the role of emotional savior for their partners. This individual often has a strong sense of purpose, but it is tied to helping others and making a profound difference in their lives. They are drawn to partners who are in a state of emotional chaos, struggling with a career, or recovering from a personal crisis. They believe in the power of their love to heal and transform, a powerful embodiment of the wounded healer. Their almost connection might be with a partner who is constantly on the brink of a breakthrough. This partner leans heavily on the caretaker for emotional support, financial help, and validation. The caretaker pours their energy into them, believing that their selfless dedication is the key to unlocking the partner's potential, and, in doing so, their own happiness. The relationship never fully commits because the partner's state of being almost healed is what keeps the caretaker hooked. Their unconscious fear is a profound loneliness, the terrifying idea that if their partner were fully stable and whole, they might no longer be needed, and therefore no longer have a purpose in the relationship. This is a subtle yet powerful manifestation of the martyr archetype, where they find their worth in self-sacrifice and in the unfulfilled promise of a relationship that never becomes a true partnership of equals. Their loyalty is to a family system where they may have been a child who had to take on the emotional burden of a parent, learning that their value was directly tied to their ability to fix others. These anecdotal threads, while distinct, collectively illustrate how the almost is not a singular phenomenon, but a multifaceted dynamic, deeply rooted in individual histories, unconscious archetypal drives, systemic family patterns, and the very neurobiology of love and craving. Understanding these layers is the crucial first step towards breaking free from their powerful hold.
What you're experiencing isn't a series of unfortunate coincidences. It is the predictable output of your relational algorithm. This is the unconscious code, a deeply ingrained program running in your mind and nervous system built from your earliest experiences with love and safety. This algorithm, not luck or circumstance, is what guides you toward partners and dynamics that feel both familiar and frustrating. The almost isn't a fluke. It's a bug in the code that we've been running on autopilot, a recurring subroutine that keeps us perpetually stuck just shy of a secure connection. The inherited software, family systems, and unconscious loyalties. Our personal relational algorithm isn't running in a vacuum. It's running on a larger, inherited software, our family system. The emotional patterns, unhealed traumas, and unspoken rules of our ancestors become embedded in our own code. The emotional debt. Did an ancestor carry a profound, unfulfilled emotional longing, a love that was lost, a dream that was deferred? You may be unconsciously carrying a systemic debt, an invisible obligation to reenact that longing. You find yourself repeatedly drawn to almost relationships, as if trying to bring resolution to a pain that isn't even your own, or as if paying an emotional debt you didn't incur. Your love life becomes a stage where an old, unresolved family drama plays out, and you are cast in the lead role without ever auditioning for it. The familial contract. We inherit an unspoken emotional contract from our family about what love is. For some, the contract says, love is sacrifice. For others, it's, love is a private transaction that is never fully expressed. The almost relationship is an excellent environment to uphold these contracts. It allows you to pour energy into another without the risk of receiving true reciprocal intimacy, thereby keeping you loyal to a contract that taught you to give far more than you ever receive. The shadow variables, Jungian psychology and archetypes. Our algorithm also contains shadow variables, unintegrated, unconscious parts of ourselves. We are often drawn to almost partners who embody these very variables. You might have a fear of commitment in your own shadow, and you unconsciously choose a partner who is also commitment averse, allowing you to avoid your own fear by focusing on theirs. Archetypes like the puer aeternus, the eternal boy, or the puella aeterna, the eternal girl, who resist the responsibilities of adulthood and commitment, often find themselves trapped in this loop. We also see the orphan archetype, someone who feels a deep sense of being unchosen or unlovable, unconsciously seeking out the almost as a familiar echo of that core wound. This isn't just a metaphor, it's the psychological phenomenon of projection, where you are unknowingly using your partner as a screen to view and wrestle with unacknowledged parts of your own being. The almost is therefore not a problem with the person you're with. It is a profound mirror reflecting back an unintegrated part of your own algorithm. The dopamine loop, the neurobiology of the almost. Our brains are designed to reward the unpredictable. When a reward is consistent, a secure relationship, dopamine levels are steady. But when a reward is intermittent, a loving text after days of silence, a grand gesture after months of distance, the brain's reward center lights up with an intense, addictive surge of dopamine. This is the neurobiological engine of the almost. It's the same psychological principle behind gambling. Your brain is not prioritizing stability. It's addicted to the potential, the thrill of the chase, and the possibility of a reward that feels more intense precisely because it is so elusive. The high of almost becomes far more compelling to your brain than the steady, quiet hum of a secure connection, trapping you in a cycle that is neurologically reinforced. The inner battle for identity. To truly understand why we get stuck in the almost, we must also look at the crucial developmental stage that precedes true intimacy. One of our critical developmental tasks is to resolve the conflict of intimacy versus isolation. This stage, which typically occurs in young adulthood, is a profound battle to form a solid, independent sense of self before attempting to merge with another. The almost relationship is often a symptom of a failure to resolve this stage. An individual with an underdeveloped identity may unconsciously seek out an almost as a safe way to experience a relationship without the risk of losing themselves entirely. They get to feel the thrill of connection while also having an easy escape route, an emotional fire door to their own isolation. The almost relationship allows them to exist in the liminal space between forming a connection and retreating into solitude, perpetually avoiding the deep, terrifying vulnerability of fully committing their formed self to another. The relational paradox, navigating modern love. To truly understand the almost, we must also look at the broader landscape of modern love, a landscape filled with paradoxes that challenge our ability to form lasting bonds. Bids for connection versus the four horsemen. In the everyday life of a relationship, trust is built through small, seemingly insignificant moments. A bid can be a simple touch on the arm, a question about your day, or a knowing glance. The response to a bid, turning toward, turning away, or turning against, determines the health of the connection. The almost dynamic is often defined by a chronic pattern of missed or ignored bids for connection. As the frustration mounts, it can give way to the four horsemen: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling, which are not just communication failures, but are the end result of a long, painful cycle of ignored bids. The almost thrives in this no man's land where bids are made and consistently ignored, leaving both parties feeling lonely and unseen. The paradox of desire. Modern love presents a central paradox. We want both safety and predictability in a long-term relationship, yet we also crave mystery and desire. The almost relationship, ironically, offers a false sense of both. It feels safe because it never fully requires the vulnerability of a complete commitment, and it feels mysterious because the partner is perpetually just out of reach. It is a brilliant, tragic solution to a problem that it was never designed to solve, to seek not a seamless fusion with our partner, but a healthy balance of separateness and togetherness, a way to maintain our own sense of self so we can meet our partner from a place of curiosity, not need. The last piece of this puzzle, find love not as a feeling, but as a verb. Love is an active, conscious choice, a commitment to care, affection, recognition, respect, and trust. The almost relationship, by its very nature, is a failure of this conscious choice. It is a relationship of unfulfilled potential, not an active practice of conscious loving. It allows us to feel the feeling of love, the longing, the hope, the desperation, without ever having to do the hard, consistent, ethical work that makes a relationship real. To break free, we must embrace this principle and begin to practice conscious loving, first with ourselves and then with the partner who is ready to do the same. Translating theory to action, the principles of high-value connection. We can have all the psychological theory in the world, but if we don't translate it into actionable principles, we remain stuck. They offer a bridge from understanding the why to creating the how. The green light mentality. The person in the almost dynamic is often waiting for their partner to give them a green light, to commit, to define the relationship, to show up consistently. Your job isn't to chase a green light, it's to give one. Your green light is a signal you send to a partner who has earned it, a signal of your willingness to invest in a connection with someone who is already meeting your standards. By shifting your focus from hoping they will choose you to actively choosing someone who has already proven their worth, you take back control from the almost and dismantle the anxiety that fuels it. Dating with standards, not hopes. The almost relationship thrives on hope, the hope that a person's potential will one day become their reality. To stop dating based on hope and start dating based on standards. This means defining your non-negotiables, not as a rigid checklist, but as a clear set of emotional and behavioral requirements for a partner who can truly meet you. This is an external manifestation of the internal work of self-differentiation, knowing your own worth and needs so clearly that you can walk away from what is inconsistent and unsatisfying. This forces a recalibration of your relational algorithm, teaching it to recognize and value genuine, consistent effort over intoxicating, intermittent potential. Creating your own vortex of connection. The person caught in the almost often tries to pull their partner closer through overgiving, sacrificing their own needs, or constantly trying to prove their value. Becoming so complete and fulfilled in your own life that you become a vortex of connection. This means building a life you love outside of the relationship, cultivating a strong sense of self-worth, and engaging in passions that make you magnetic. This approach directly combats the core wounds of both the chaser and the avoider. For the chaser, it proves that your worth and happiness are not dependent on a partner's validation. For the avoider, it creates a pull that is based on genuine intrigue and admiration, not on a perceived demand for closeness. This is the ultimate act of rewriting your relational algorithm, creating a new, healthier loop based on wholeness, not on need. Beyond blame, rewriting the conversation. The almost relationship is often a war of words, filled with accusations and defenses. To break this cycle, you must learn to communicate from a place of vulnerability rather than attack. This is the central tenet of nonviolent communication, NVC. From blame to observation, instead of saying, "You never spend enough time with me," which is a criticism, you learn to state an objective observation. "I've noticed that we haven't seen each other in 2 weeks." From anger to feeling. Instead of staying in a place of anger or frustration, you connect to the deeper feeling beneath it. I feel lonely and sad. From demand to need. Instead of a demand, you express the underlying need that is not being met. My need is for consistency and a feeling of genuine connection. From accusation to request. Instead of an accusation, you make a specific, actionable request. Would you be willing to schedule a consistent time each week for us to connect? This profound shift in communication allows you to take back your power. You are no longer waiting for your partner to magically guess what you need. You are confidently and vulnerably expressing your inner world, inviting them into a conversation that has the potential to lead to genuine connection or to a clear and respectful separation. Rewriting the narrative. Breaking free from the magnetic pull of the almost isn't about trying harder to get the elusive person to commit. It's a courageous act of redirecting your energy from the external chase to the profound reclamation of your inner world. This is where you stop trying to finish their story and start writing your own. It involves dismantling the unconscious blueprint that made you believe love had to be earned and replacing it with a new, authentic narrative that honors your inherent worth. This is a dedicated, often challenging process of intentional action. It's about moving from a state of perpetual longing to one of profound self-possession. Phase 1. The internal audit. Pausing the chase. Before you can build a new way of relating, you must first understand the old one. The first act of rebellion against the almost is to stop the chase and turn inward. Mindful pause and observation. The next time you feel the familiar impulse to chase, to send that text, to overgive, or to anxiously wait, just pause. Don't act on it. Instead, become a silent observer of your own internal landscape. Ask yourself, what is my body feeling right now? Is there tension in my chest? A knot in my stomach? What emotion is driving this impulse? Is it fear of abandonment, a need for validation, or the ghost of a past longing? This simple, conscious act of separation between feeling and action starts to break the deeply ingrained neural pathways of the chase. You're teaching your nervous system that it is safe to not pursue, that the world won't end just because the almost remains elusive. Trace the echoes of your past. The almost is often a familiar echo. Use journaling as a tool to explore this. Write about your earliest memories of love and connection. What was the unspoken contract you inherited? By bringing these echoes into conscious awareness, you can begin to see that the pattern isn't a flaw in your present self, but a survival strategy from your past. You can look at that inner child who learned to shrink or chase and offer them the unconditional love they were denied. Phase 2. The rebuilding. Nurturing the whole self. The almost relationship thrives on you diminishing yourself. To break free, you must actively and intentionally rebuild the parts of yourself that you sacrificed. Reclaim your voice and your needs. You have a right to your needs, and they are not too much. The core of the almost pattern is the belief that your needs are a burden. Start small. Practice asking for what you want in low-stakes situations. Practice saying no to things that drain you and yes to things that fill you. Your voice has been quieted by the almost, so it must be strengthened. This is the foundation of building healthy boundaries, the honest expression of what you need to feel safe and respected. Cultivate your own symphony. The unfinished symphony of the almost can consume your life. To break its spell, you must consciously begin writing and playing your own symphony. What are your passions, your hobbies, your interests outside of a relationship? What brings you joy, a sense of purpose, and a feeling of being wholly and completely you? Actively invest your time and energy in these pursuits. This builds a robust sense of self-worth that is not dependent on external validation. You become a complete composition, not a half-finished note waiting for someone else to play the rest. Honoring your inner voice. The truth about a connection is often found in your own inner voice, but that voice has been silenced by a lifetime of waiting. The quiet discomfort you feel when a partner makes an empty promise, the subtle tension in your gut when they pull away, these are not flaws in you. They are messages from your soul, your deepest self-worth screaming for recognition. The next step in rewriting your narrative is to listen and honor that voice. This is the ultimate act of self-love, and it will give you the courage to choose a relationship that feels right in your body and your heart, not just in your head. Phase 3. The new relationship blueprint, from chasing to choosing. Once you have done the internal work, you are ready to approach relationships from a new place of wholeness, not a void. Define your non-negotiables. You can no longer afford to tolerate the almost. Based on your new self-awareness, define your non-negotiables for a healthy relationship. What does consistent, reciprocal connection actually look like to you? What does commitment sound like? What does respect feel like? This isn't a rigid list of demands, but a new, empowered standard for the kind of connection you deserve. When a new person or an old pattern presents itself, you no longer chase its potential. You measure it against your non-negotiables. If it falls short, you have the courage to walk away. Embrace the courage of secure love. True security can feel foreign and even boring to a system wired for the drama of the almost. It can feel like a lack of passion when it's actually a profound, quiet peace. Be prepared for this discomfort. This is where you practice staying with the partner when you have an urge to create drama, and this is where you practice allowing your new partner to be there for you without the need to prove you are worthy of their presence. Trust that a love that doesn't need to be earned is the most real and sustaining love of all. From mirror to window, the almost was a mirror reflecting back your past wounds. Your new, healthy relationships are a window, offering a clear, unobstructed view into the truth of another person and the beauty of a genuine reciprocal bond. You are no longer projecting your desires onto an elusive partner. You are seeing them for who they are and allowing them to see you fully and completely without the need for either of you to shrink. The turning point. But what if, beneath the relentless overgiving, the patient waiting, and the tireless effort to make an almost relationship work, there wasn't a flaw in your design, but rather a profoundly powerful archetypal cry to finally be seen for who you truly are? What if the relentless pursuit of the almost was a deeply personal, though misguided attempt to heal an old inherited emotional wound? To finally prove your worth to a long-dead ancestor who never received the love they deserved. This is the turning point. Healing begins not when you find the right person to finally complete you, but when you consciously choose to stop outsourcing your inherent worth to the elusive echoes of your past. It begins when you recognize that the profound, encompassing love you've been trying so desperately to pull from the almost is, in its purest form, the very love you are capable of cultivating within yourself, a boundless, unconditional wellspring. You can and must belong to yourself fully, completely, and unapologetically without abandoning the innate human desire for deep connection. In fact, it is only when you cultivate that profound sense of internal belonging, when you become your own most reliable source of validation and security, that you can truly enter into relationships that are whole, reciprocal, and genuinely nourishing. The almost then transforms from a painful trap into a profound teacher, preparing you for the real thing. It's a quiet, sacred truth, a knowing that settles deep in your bones. The almost served its purpose. It was simply preparing you for the true connection. Once you are ready to receive it, not from a place of deficit, but from a space of abundant self-worth.
Conclusion and reflection. The journey out of the trap of finding the person is a courageous path towards self-reclamation. It's about dismantling the belief that your worth is measured by how much you give or sacrifice, and replacing it with the profound truth that your worth is inherent, simply because you exist. By understanding your inherited emotional algorithms, recognizing the archetypal roles you play, and establishing healthy boundaries, you can transform relationships from draining entanglements into spaces of mutual growth and authentic connection. This path demands patience, compassion for yourself, and the willingness to navigate discomfort.
But the reward is immense. A life where you are fully present, authentically expressed, and capable of fostering relationships that truly nourish and uplift you. It's about creating love threads that are strong, flexible, and beautifully intertwined, without ever losing their individual integrity. The most radical thing you can do for yourself is to stay with the discomfort of your own company when you want to chase, and to leave a situation that is no longer serving you, even if a part of you wants to stay. So ask yourself, where did you first learn that love meant disappearing? What would it feel like to love without losing yourself? What would it feel like to choose a love that is whole, rather than an almost, that is a reflection of a past you can now heal? If this stirred something in you, subscribe to Love Threads. We're not here to fix you. We're here to help you remember who you are.